Hey authors, welcome back to Writers Workshop. Writers, today marks an exciting day in your lives as authors of teaching books. You friends have already taught your readers and me so much through your books because you have shown that you're experts and you've taught about your topic so well. So today you are going to start a new chapter book. And this time, you're not going to need as much help as you did the first time we tried this because you've learned so many great strategies and tools to help you write your teaching books. Today, I want to remind you that you already know so much about writing information books, and we're going to look back on all that we know. And as writers start new chapter books and they revise old ones, they get a new plan for their writing. So boys and girls, today I want to teach you that authors, writers, study the tools around them, like charts, published nonfiction books, and even other writers to help them come up with a plan for their new books. And as writers study these tools and they study these things, they think to themselves, how could I try that in my writing? And then they do it. You may have seen that we did this in our last unit, Small Moments, when we looked at our mentor text. Authors are always looking around them. They're looking at what they know, they're looking at other books, and seeing what strategies they can try in their own writing. So friends, the question we're going to ask today as we look at all that we know about information books, we're going to ask ourselves, how could I try that in my writing? And then we're going to do it. So let me show you what I mean. I want to start a book about a place called Fort Worth. You know Fort Worth? I thought you might. Well, I love to visit Fort Worth because there's so much to do there. So my job now is to think of what I already know about planning a nonfiction book. Remember, I've learned so many great strategies and tools with you, so I'm even more prepared this time around to start a new book. And I'm remembering that before we planned a table of contents page, we did create our chapter names and think about what our chapters were even going to be about by telling the parts across our fingers. For example, the parts might be different places in Fort Worth, how to get to Fort Worth, and things to do in Fort Worth. I'm going to jot these chapters down. I also know another way to think about how my book might go. I could look at a mentor text, a published nonfiction book. Let's look at our nonfiction mentor text, Sharks, and let's notice what this author did to teach and explain the information. And then remember, we're going to ask ourselves that important question, how can I try this in my writing? Remember, I'm not writing about sharks, so I am looking for what this writer did that I could also do in my book about Fort Worth. I'm not just copying the book about sharks. That wouldn't make sense for me to copy all of her sentences because A, it wasn't my writing, and B, I'm not writing about sharks. I'm writing about Fort Worth, but I'm going to look at the strategies and tools that she used and ask myself, how can I do this in my book? How can I try this in my book? One thing I notice is that the author not only has a table of contents, but she also uses headings. So if you look at this page right here where it says Imagine This, that was the title of the chapter when I looked at the table of contents. And then when I went to that page, it is written as a heading, big and bold at the top of the page. Now, this page shows all about the different kinds of teeth, shark teeth, and it gives me an idea for my Fort Worth book. Am I going to write about teeth? No, but I'm thinking I could tell all about the different restaurants in Fort Worth. And writers, do you want to know what I noticed here? I noticed that the author put all of the different kinds of shark teeth on the page and taught about them one at a time. It's almost like a list, right? Well, I'm thinking in my book on Fort Worth, I could write a whole chapter about the different kinds of restaurants and I can list and describe them just like the author of Sharks did with shark teeth. Writers, I can also use any of our class anchor charts to remind myself how I might plan my chapters. So let me remind you some of the things on the chart. We can think about questions our readers might have. We can write in twin sentences. We can include pictures, make a comparison, use size, shape, and color words. Now, I can use the tip, think about questions my reader might have to help me come up with more chapter ideas. And I'm thinking my readers will want to know who lives in Fort Worth. what people are like there and what they do. I'll have a whole chapter on about people in Fort Worth. So thinking about that anchor chart and looking at the questions made me think of a new chapter idea and title, a new part to teach about in my book. Writers, even though no one told me what to do to get started on a new book, I used everything I know about how to choose a topic and then start writing a table of contents. I also used a mentor text to help me, and I used a class chart. Writers, you can look around and find something that can help you as you plan your new teaching book. You might look at a mentor text, a classroom chart, or even other writers around you and see what strategies they're using. And then we're going to think and ask ourselves the important question: what should I do to get started on a new book today? My bigger point is that when you go to write an information book, you don't need a teacher telling you, do this, do that, do this. You can use charts, mentor texts, and other writers to help you know what you can do, and it can help you brainstorm new parts and ideas for your book. And I also want to remind you that we can look at our information checklist that keeps us writing well and setting new goals, and that can help us think of things to include in our story as well. So let's review that. I taught my readers about a topic. I named my topic in the beginning and got my readers' attention. I told different parts about my topic on different pages. I wrote an ending. I told about my topic part by part. I put facts in my writing to teach about my topic. I used labels and words to give facts. I used all I knew about words and chunks to help me spell. I spelled the word wall words right and used the word wall to help me spell other words. I ended sentences with punctuation. I used a capital letter for names. Ooh, you know what? That's an important one for me to remember as I write about Fort Worth, because Fort Worth is the name of a city. So, ooh, that's a good reminder that I need to capitalize. I used commas in dates and lists. One more thing, friends. Today, as you start your new chapter books and you think of what new kinds of teaching you will do, also remember what you know about how to start chapter books. Usually writers of teaching chapter books start by planning the table of contents. And remember, that can help us if we practice teaching about our topic out loud and we tell it part by part. It can help us organize our thoughts and ideas into chapters. All right, friends, it's time for you to go work on your stories. Writers, go write.